Hi, everybody. I think we're going to have a wonderful session today of yet another episode of the Mentor's Cut. And I'm privileged to have the one and only GOAT of AWR and hernia surgery, Professor Todd Henniford. And needless to say anything about him, everybody knows well about him. So this is going to be a very light one, Todd. So how do you want to? I just want to ask you this. We know about your surgical side and many things. A little more I want to understand is, what do you do in your free time? Or do you even have free time?
I don't give myself a lot of free time. And so, one of the things that I've learned is every time I take on something new, I have to give up something.
Yeah.
And so, like if someone asks you to do something, you've got 50 things that you're going to do, that you're doing, and constantly in your schedule. What are you going to give up to do that? Does it rank in that top 50?
Yeah.
And so, do I have spend time with my partner Lindsay and my dog? And the answer is absolutely. I've got I have time that I will not give up, that I have to drive this deep stake in. But are there things in my schedule that I can shift? And do you give up? One of the first things you give up sleep.
Yeah.
You can give up. Do I give up TV? Mm-hmm. Do I? And indeed, how does that fit my my mental approach to like enjoying life? If I give those things up, give up TV, give up, but indeed, I'm giving you a much longer answer, a more complicated answer, but indeed, I have free time and I guard it because someone will always take it from you.
Right.
And then I'll make free time by becoming more efficient. And so, I can become much more efficient and then give myself more free time. But I think that the concept of time, and if we're going to talk about surgeons, I think the concept of time is one of the greatest, I guess it's one of those things that leads to regret as surgeons. Yeah. Because there's always something else to do. Yeah. There's always another case to do. There's always another operation to do. And then you end up like, it's a stimulus, it can be a stimulus of regret.
And I think with the way we've seen you travel around the world to various conferences, give us some tips in terms of for the younger generation. How would you identify as a good work-life balance for a surgeon?
So I don't think there's a work-life balance. I don't think there is.
Okay.
As a surgeon, it's work-life harmony. That is a much better term for a surgeon.
Absolutely.
And so the consideration of giving up what you're going to give up and what you're going to miss in life and with your kids and things like that. There's always going to be something pushing you on you for your work.
Yeah.
And honestly, you can use that as a good role for your children. As far as this is super important. This is part of my profession. This is these patients are depending on me. I have made a commitment to these patients or to this organization, and saying like, this is what I have to do as a professional. But it is work-life harmony. There is no balance as a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I've pushed back on work-life balance because at work, if you're unhappy at work, yeah, you will be unhappy at home as a professional.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And so if you are happy at work, you put your time in at work, mm-hmm, and don't skimp and don't living worried about a patient at home. There's no way I can enjoy my home time if I'm worried about something that I didn't get accomplished at work.
Yeah.
And so if I'm happy at work, I will be happy at home. I will be a better father. I will be a better partner. Mowing the grass doesn't bother me as much. Cleaning up the kitchen, I will spend time doing that and do it with a smile on my face. It's work-life harmony.
Nice. I know that read a little bit about you, and I know you used to play football in university. Are you still doing those anymore, or at least on a recreational basis?
playing football? The answer is no. You throw the ball every now and then? The answer is of course.
Of course.
But like playing football, no, I just hurt myself. The problem with an old athlete is you still think you can do it.
Yeah.
And up here, mentally your ego won't let it go. But the problem when you get older is that, you hurt yourself. And it takes a lot longer to heal. Yeah. And so, but I still love it. I
Right.
still lean into the competitive sports and appreciate it.
Great. What was your mentor moment where you thought that you have this person as a mentor, and when did you actually start? Who was it? If you can share it with us, or it could be multiple people, whatever. Something about.
Really, nobody knows this.
Perfect. Okay.
I trained at the University of Louisville, and my chairman there was a guy named Hiram Polk, and Hiram Polk was president of everything. He was president of the American Board of Surgery. He was president of the American Surgical Association. He was just president, and he ran the residency review committee for the American board. And so everyone knew Hiram Polk, and he could be a tough guy, really a tough guy. But you knew this guy really cared about you. And so he drove you to success, but he was uncompromising, and he could really put you in your place. And one day I was a chief administrative resident at the University of Louisville. And so I helped run the program. I made the schedules for everyone. If there was a problem that came through me, I had a lot of responsibility. But I was on every other night call on trauma. I had a patient come in, and she was appropriately worked up. And it's really an injury you could not identify beforehand. And I was just tired, really, really tired after 2 months of every other night call. And this young woman, the morning after she came in, we're cleaning up the service, and so we could go home in the afternoon. And you get a stat page to the ICU, and this woman really did not. This young woman did not do well. And I went down to the CT scanner with her as a chief resident, put lead on, just sitting in the CT, and how could I have done better here? And I will tell you that, and she had young children about the same age as mine, and even though it was something that was unpredictable, it broke me.
Right.
And I went to Hiram Polk's office, and I essentially said, I don't know that I can do this anymore. I was filthy tired. And this, saw my children and her children. And he took me very seriously. And he took my beeper from me. And he called his secretary and he said, Elaine was a secretary for over 30 years. Cancel my day tomorrow. I'm the trauma chief tomorrow.
Wow.
And he just put his arm around me. He said, you just take care of yourself. When you're ready to come back, come back. I quit. And I went home, and my wife at the time, she also was in surgery, and so we saw each other 7 or 8 nights a month, and we have 2 kids. But someone was always at home with the children, so I had the kids by myself. And have a beer, you get some sleep, you wake up at the same time, and you look at your children. And I scooped them up, and I took them to our sitter, and I was sitting on the floor outside Dr. Polk's office. The next morning, when Dr. Polk walked up at 6 a.m., he's ready to be the trauma chief.
Wow.
And he said, are you okay? You ready? And I mean, you'd expect him to if you knew Dr. Polk, you'd expect him to say, what the hell are you doing? You are throwing away a career. This is stupid. And he would just run you down. And he's like, you okay?
Yeah.
You ready? You sure? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm ready. I'm sorry. I just miserably tired. And he gave me my beeper back, and I just apologized to him about him canceling his day. And he said, "Are you kidding me? I got a day off." And he just walked the heck out of the office. I mean, he was like had a skip in his step. He never mentioned it ever. I had dinner with him 25 years later.
Yeah.
And we're going through old stories, and he and I were close. And we had never mentioned it to each other. And I said, Dr. Polk, I just want to thank you for that day and for forgiving me. And I just, and he said, son, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wow.
That is the ultimate forgiveness and the ultimate mentor.
Yeah.
And the guy has a perfect memory. And he let me go. And he understood. And if that guy, who's been president of everything, had trained world-class surgeons, many surgeons, people who have become chairman, he knew when to turn it on, and he knew when to be forgiving. And we should judge people not when they're at their worst.
Yeah.
We should judge people when they have a chance to come back.
Definitely. I agree.
And he did. He could have changed my life by beating me up.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't be sitting here.
No, it's a very, very inspiring story. And thank you for sharing this with us, really. This is something you could have kept it personal, but you did it for us. And thank you. And this is going to inspire a lot more younger generation and how to deal with problems. One thing which I want to ask you is, change is something which not many people take. It's a risk-taking thing. Many people, at least in the younger age group, do this. And at this level, you have made a change in your professional career in terms of the location. Forget it, Todd has always taught anywhere around the world, but that's a big change. Would you mind telling how important change is, or for everybody, for example?
So I think that we all will change. And you guys are younger than me, so and surgical science is changing faster and faster and faster. So you're going to have to make changes. There's no question. You're going to have to make changes. But for me to change location is pretty easy, actually.
Yeah.
I love, you got to figure out what you love. I love to build. I love to train young surgeons. The research that we do, the quality improvement stuff that we do, there's a lot of ways to get paid in life. And one of the ways to get paid is to train young surgeons to be able to and put them in a position to succeed, give them options and in a position to succeed, not only for themselves, but for family and for their career. And I still love that. And all the other things, the trimmings that come with being an active surgeon, but like this opportunity to build in Chicago, to join a great group of people in Chicago, I just couldn't turn it down. And also too, living in one of the best cities in the world.
Absolutely, best food, beautiful weather, and I really love it. I've been there a few times. Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
For me, being a Southern boy from the United States, but the people are great.
Yeah.
It really is a beautiful city.
It's a beautiful city. There's no questions. Always wanted to be a surgeon when you did med school?
No.
What was it?
Well, I didn't want to be a surgeon, period.
Right.
I went to college and I wanted to be a professional football player. Wow. That's all I cared about.
Wow.
Yeah. And once you figure out you're just not physically fast enough, you can't teach fast. I wasn't going to be physically fast enough to play professional football. It really knocked me down a peg or two. And then I decided that I wanted to go to medical school. I was able to get into medical school. And I think like the consideration of young people making choices, whether you make a choice to, in medical school, to become this type of physician, become a surgeon, become a hematologist, I think you start looking at your mentors, people who you want to be that person.
Yeah.
And so that played a huge role in it. And there's and I wanted to do, so I grew up in a small town in South Carolina. We had one radiologist in our town, and he used to pay me $20 to cut his yard. That was like, back then, it was like printing money.
Yeah.
Holy smoke, this guy's going to pay me $20 to cut his yard. I'm like, I want to be a radiologist, And so I wanted to be a radiologist or a cardiologist, but we had a young kid who came in, again, the chief resident was named Spence Taylor, who's become a pretty famous vascular surgeon in the United States, but he was our chief resident. I was a third-year medical student, my first rotation. Kid came in a car accident, had a ruptured spleen, and he made the diagnosis by putting his hand on his ribs. He was hypotensive, put his hand on his ribs, he had fractured ribs, and took him straight up to the OR. I thought he was like a genius. You would know that now.
Yeah.
I'm a third-year medical student. I don't know anything. And that kid nearly bled to death. And Spence took his spleen out, and this kid walked out of the hospital in 7 days. And that one case made me say, if there was a good cardiologist down there, the kid would have died. Mm-hmm. A good radiologist in the ER, the kid would have died. And so and Spence was an amazing teacher. And I just said, I want to be Spence Taylor. And if you look at young people, even after you get into surgery, what kind of surgeon you want to be.
Yeah.
Surgeons who are happy, surgeons who have meaningful lives, people who contribute. And often, like in my place where I left in Charlotte, you'd see people who do what we do, but you also see, like, we have a big flux of people going into plastic surgery because our plastic surgery group was a great group of people who did great work, and they worked together. And so we're happy. So we have a lot of people who want to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure. And why specifically AWR?
I didn't intend to do that either.
No? Okay.
No, of course not. I mean, who wants to be a hernia surgeon? Or who wanted to be?
Today, many want to be.
Yeah, well, now,
With the likes of you and many others we've seen.
and now it's become, you said AWR. Before, it was just hernia surgery.
Correct.
And now when people say AWR and people actually know what AWR is, it tells you how far we've come. But when I got to Charlotte, I did everything. So I did a lot of minimally invasive surgery, but I did pancreatectomies and splenectomies and gastrectomies and colectomies, and I did everything with skin and its contents. I did thoracoscopy. And so, but then I hired people to do the colorectal, you hire people to do gastric bypass, you hire people to do hepatobiliary, and you have to give them that. If you're not going to give them your practice, then don't hire them. So I hired them. So then I did do general surgery, but I did foregut surgery and left hernia repair. And the reason we became busy with hernia repair is just that in our research, there was like nobody doing research in hernia repair. And so it was wide open. And so I was like, we will learn something and we'll fill a big gap for the community and for the world. And that's how I got in AWR. And then it kind of took off.
That's true. I mean, the number of research that's come out in the last 10 years, at least in hernia and AWR, is mind-blowing in terms of the numbers all around the world, of course. And you all started it way before that. And thank you for that. Any favorite movie you can think of? Your favorite?
Favorite movie?
Movie, books, both.
Oh, books. Yeah, so...
For us, we always see you on the laptop, even when you're not presenting. So I always wonder, do you read books? Do you watch movies? That's why I'm leading up to this.
Yeah, so I don't read, but I'll let someone read to me.
Nice.
I do audiobooks.
Nice.
And so I can, I do it when I exercise. I'm always listening to books. When I'm doing my laundry, I'm listening to a book.
Very nice.
And so some of my favorite books would be, there's a series of books called DC. There's the DC Smith books. It's a detective in Great Britain. Wow. That series of books is really, really good. Nice. And then I never saw myself as ever listening to sci-fi, but there's some great sci-fi books. Like there's books called the Bob books, the Bobiverse books. Terrific. Expeditionary Force. There's like I'm afraid to even say there's like 19 books in that series. And I've listened to all of them. Wow. It's a great, fun, smart, makes you think. So I like spy novels. I like detective series, but then I've really kind of gotten into sci-fi. But I listen to books. It's like maximizing time.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to read and to exercise. So I'll let someone read to me while I exercise.
Movies?
Movies. I don't watch a lot of movies.
I was gonna.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of movies. Will I? Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm just those things. It doesn't make my top 50. Honestly, I'll watch some sports on TV, but I'll watch it with Lindsay.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't spend a lot of time watching TV. It's just I only have so many things I can do.
More of a coffee person than anything else. Tea.
Coffee.
I guess most of you guys are. I've seen that. Yeah. But there are a lot of people who do tea, and I was just wondering what you are.
Like coffee.
Yeah, very nice. I wanted to say that one thing which the viewers should know is the AWRSC and Professor Henniford. We're doing a traveling fellowship right now, and I've not spoken to you in person about it, and when we opened it out, we had 100 people across India had applied for it, and we're in the process of screening it, and wanted to personally thank you for this and your few words on why did you come up with this? You gave the idea to us.
Well, it comes from the attitude of the people that I met at the times I've been to your meeting.
Yeah.
People want to learn. They really, really are. The word desperate is wrong. it is such a huge want to learn, and being able to travel to the United States or travel anywhere in the world, really. I mean, come to Australia and see Kelly or anywhere in the world. And them having that opportunity was, I'll just back up. Neil Smart, who died recently, he and I had the conversation before you and I had this conversation about starting this scholarship.
Yeah.
And I said, Neil, and Neil had metastatic cancer, and we knew that Neil was not going to survive. And I said, what do you think is the most important thing we can do for young surgeons? And he said, give them the opportunity to travel and learn from other surgeons. And he talked about how much it helped him. So I have to give Neil Smart credit. And then for you guys, for me to put up some funds, and then you guys to match those funds, which is wonderful. Yeah. But giving young people an opportunity to expand, their surgical skills, but also like the way they think.
Yeah. I mean, people were overwhelmed and so happy when we announced this, and we're still in the process. And next year, I'm sure we're going to have a few people traveling down to the US and to your center as well. And so thank you so much for doing this interview. Thank you so much for the fellowship and for the friendship that we share. Yep. And we look forward to meeting you in Mumbai, hopefully in 2027. So let's look at it.